Well, hello everyone, my name is Zwiggojr and welcome back to another video. Today we are once again going to be doing Pokemon Radical Red because last time you guys really seemed to enjoy the video where we ran through the game with only water types, and this time I'm going to be picking Ghost. But there is a catch here because in this game Ghost type Pokemon aren't available so early. So I actually had to randomize the Pokemon in the game in order to find Ghost types. This is going to add somewhat of a difficulty, because the Pokemon that I'm going to be able to choose from are going to be very limited. In the end, I will only have about 10 Pokemon to choose from, since I didn't really find that many. So which Pokemon did I actually get? Well, you're going to have to find out. But before we jump into it, let's try to smash 3,677 likes. And of course, if you are not subscribed already, you can do so by clicking that big red button. So without any further ado, let's jump into Pokemon Radical Red with only Ghost type Pokemon. I named myself Hermano, and I totally forgot why, I'm not gonna lie. But at least it's a fun name. And our rival is going to be the best friend of Jimmy Neutron, Carl Weezer. And so here I decided to randomize the game. Don't worry, this isn't going to randomize any of the major battles. You're just going to be able to find random Pokemon, which is what I need in order to start off with a Ghost type. And I immediately got one of the best Ghost types in the game, Dragapult. Yes, this is going to make the early game pretty easy, but in the end it's not really going to matter which one I get here. But I definitely won't complain with a Dragapult. I name him Bob because he's going to be able to fix everything. I beat my rival with much ease and step foot in a world that is randomized. And the first randomized Ghost type I found was a Dhelmise, which is not bad. I'm not going to complain about that one. After capturing it, I name it Titanic. While fishing in Viridian City, I also managed to find a banette, which is going to be amazing with the prankster ability. I name him Kevin, easily overpower my rival at Viridian Forest, so that we get the EXP share. And after grinding up my entire team, I went to Faulkner down at the museum. And Bob was able to take down the Wingull and the Emolga with some bites and quick attacks, but eventually the Corvus Squire came out, which was able to overpower me with aerial aces and roosts. So Titanic had to come in with the rapid spin and sweep up Faulkner in order to get the TM for Roost, which is probably not going to be that useful with a Ghost type team, as we now have to take on the first gym, the rock hard man, Brock. Titanic managed to take out his first Pokemon, Alolan Geodude, with some Mega Drains. Then Vulpix came in, so I switched into my Dragapult, but he got destroyed by a bunch of ominous winds. Yes, I know, how does a pseudo-legendary lose to a little fox? I don't know, but it happened. So Kevin had to come in and Shadow Sneak it to finally take it out, as he went into his last Pokemon, Onix, which I was able to do some chip damage against with Shadow Sneaks, but eventually Banette went down. So Kevin came in and one more Mega Drain won me the gym battle. On my way to Mount Moon, I found another Ghost type in Rotom, an electric ghost, so definitely not the worst thing, but I'm not going to be able to change his form because then he loses the Ghost type. So I give it the most generic name for an electric type ever and move on over to the admin battle at Mount Moon, which was actually very easy even though he had some dark types on the team. Our Titanic actually managed to overpower most of them as he then walked over a rock and disappeared in thin air. After leaving Mount Moon, we immediately go to Cerulean City to take on our rival again. As he starts off with a Kirlia, I lead off with Rotom, but I decide to switch into Kevin and go for the Shadow Sneak as he predicts me and goes into Staravia. I then burn him with Will-O-Wisp and go into Sparks to try and go for a Thunder Shock, but he predicts me again and goes into Ivysaur. So he puts me to sleep, Leech Seeds me, and then kills me with Bullet Seed. So I swap in Kevin, go for the Will-O-Wisp to burn him, and then go for 2 Hexes to finally overpower this Ivysaur. For the last 3 Pokemon, I switched into Bob, and I just used Bite and Hex to take down Staravia, Rockruff, and Kirlia. So we skip all the Bill stuff and go straight to Misty, who ironically enough doesn't even put up a Misty terrain. As she starts off with Frogadier, I lead off with Rotom and immediately switch into Banette to burn it with a Will-O-Wisp. Eventually, I go down pretty quickly, so I have to switch in Dhelmise and go for some Gyro Ball since it is Ice type right now, so it's doing a very large amount of damage. And Frogadier really can't take a lot of those, so it goes down. Floatzel is up next, and it's able to hit 2 hidden powers, which are super effective on me, but 2 Giga Drains from my Dhelmise are just a little bit stronger, and Floatzel goes down. After that, Starmie is going to take me out with a Psybeam, So I switch in Bob, go for 2 hexes and finish off Starmie with quick attack, giving ourselves our second gym badge and allowing ourselves to go to a raid den where I find a lampent. So we're going to have a Chandelure, another amazing ghost type. So I name it Pyrojack after this little guy right here. Comment down below if you know what game he is from. Spoiler alert, best game ever. And here I managed to find a Honedge as well, so the Pokemon we found in this area are definitely going to help us out in the late game. After naming it Arthur, we sail through the 7 seas and get ourselves the HM for cut. So now it's time to take on our favorite army boy, Search the Lieutenant. The battle starts off with Pincurchin versus my Delmise, and since it only has Discharge, which is not very effective on me, my Giga Drains eventually do take it out because of the HP recovery, but the Pincurchin did manage to paralyze me. For Vikavolt, I went into Pyrojack to take it out with 2 Flame Bursts, even though the second one did way more damage than the first one because of the Occa Berry. Mega Manectric was able to take care of my Lampent with a Volt Switch. This caused him to switch into Raichu, so I went into Kevin, Shadow Sneaked the Raichu twice, and that was that. His Manectric came back out, and I went for 1 more Shadow Sneak before going down to 2 Charge Beams. So I went into Sparks to try and confuse it so that it would hit itself in its confusion, but that didn't work out so well because I went down to another Charge Beam, which raises his special attack even more. Titanic got destroyed by Flame Burst, so I switched in Bob and he had to take it out with 2 Psychic Fangs and a Quick Attack, giving ourselves our 3rd gym badge. After that, my Honedge evolved into Doublade, and I had to make my way through Mount Moon, but don't worry, I got the HM for Flash, so I didn't get lost. But sadly enough, I once again did not find any Ghost-type Pokemon. So I headed on over to the Pokemon department store to pick up 2 Dusk Stones to evolve my Chandelure and my Aegislash. And after all this, it is time to take on the Grass-type gym leader, Erica. Her leading Pokemon is a Rillaboom, but I get a critical hit with Bob with Acrobatics in order to take it out from full health. Bob gets another critical hit on Serperior, and another one takes it out because he had a Focus Sash. Meganium then came out, which is once again Grass Fairy in this game, so I switch into Titanic, hit 1 Anchor Shot and go down to some Dazzling Gleams. Pyrojack then comes in, who is able to take down Meganium with another Flame Burst. For Sudowoodo, I go into my Arthur to go for some Smart Strikes and take that thing out, and finally is Mega Venusaur. Of course, the Venusaur does its irregular thing, putting me to sleep with Sleep Powder and taking me out with Giga Drain. So Bob comes in, hits 1 Acrobatics, but also gets put to sleep and killed by Earth Power and Giga Drain. But then Pyrojack can come in and finish off Venusaur with a Flame Burst. Then we go to Don Giovanni's hideout as he leads off with a Nidoking. So what do? Naturally, I lead with something that's weak to it because I'm super big brained. Anyway, my Aegislash is able to do some very decent damage with Flash Cannon and Shadow Sneak before going down to Earth Power. So I just have to switch in my boy Kevin, go for the Shadow Sneak and take this thing out as he goes into Honchkrow. He manages to hit a Heat Wave on my Rotom on the switch in, but my Thunderbolt is able to one-shot it from full health. Infernape then takes me out with Pyro Ball. So Bob comes in and once again has to fix it with Acrobatics, having to hit 2 of them because of the Focus Sash. He then sends in his Mega Kangaskhan, and with a crunch, my boy goes down. My Delmise is able to hit 1 more Anchor Shot before also going down to crunches, and then Banette can finish off Kangaskhan with Sucker Punch. Then Rotom comes in, my Banette hits 2 more Shadow Sneaks before going down to Shadow Balls. Chandelure has to come in and finish this battle with Flamethrower, giving us the ability to get the Sylph Scope and go to the Pokemon Tower. I then managed to find myself a level 10 Hoopa, and if I keep it in this form, it's actually going to be a Ghost Psychic type. But it is really slow, so if you really want to use Hoopa, we're probably going to have to run some kind of Trick Room thing, and we're not going to be able to build our team around that, so I don't know how useful this will be. After naming this thing Ringman, I went to Morty to show him who the best Ghost type trainer is. Spoiler alert, it was me. But the only reason why I fought him was because I got the Shadow Ball TM from him. After clearing out the Pokemon Tower, we had to go on top of Sylph Co, where we have a few more major battles, starting off with our rival battle against Carl. He leads off with a Staraptor as I lead off with Dragapult. I'm able to hit 1 Thunderbolt, but he then goes into Azumarill. Since I was afraid for a Ice Punch here, I switched into my Chandelure to go for a Energy Ball, but then eventually go down to Liquidation. So my Kevin had to come in, go for the Thunderbolt, and finally finish off Azumarill. For Darmanitan, I tried to set up a Dragon Dance, but a Flare Blitz from this range was able to take me out somehow. So I went into Kevin thinking that I could at least survive a flare blitz, but I wasn't, so I wasn't able to do anything. So I went into Arthur, hit one shadow sneak before going down to another flare blitz. And then I went into Hoopa to set up the trick room and take out the Electivire and Staraptor with Psychics. Then I of course once again get put to sleep by the Venusaur. But I'm able to wake up, hit one more Psychic before going down, then go into Dhelmise and finish this battle with Anchor Shot. Of course, after beating our rival, we have to do a double battle with our other rival, Brendan, but once again, this was pretty easy. So I'm just going to take this time to ask you, like last time, what is your favorite Ghost-type Pokemon? I think if I had to choose myself, I would probably go with Spiritomb, but I really like its design, and it has one of the best shinies ever created. So let's move on over to another Mafia boss battle with Giovanni. His leading Pokemon is a Hippowdon who loves to Stealth Rock and then roar you out. So I'm naturally going to start off with Dhelmise as I go for a Phantom Force to break its Focus Sash, but I get roared out into Aegislash, who is able to hit Shadow Sneak, get roared out again into Banette, and one more Shadow Sneak is taking out this Hippowdon. The next Pokemon on the list is the big boy Mega Kangaskhan. My Banette stays in and goes for a Sucker Punch as I get taken out by a Crunch. So I send in Dhelmise and go for the Rapid Spin to get rid of the rocks. But even with this speed boost, it doesn't outspeed the Kangaskhan, so we get taken out. So I send in Bob to try and take it out with Acrobatics, but he goes into Garchomp, and I'm very lucky because the next move that the Garchomp goes for misses, so that my Dragapult can take him down with 2 more Acrobatics. Kangaskhan also goes down this way. Poltegeist gets one-shot by Phantom Force, and I'm able to take out Excadrill with 2 Scalds since the second one burned it, and the burn damage was able to finish it off. So we finally drove the Mafia out of town. We all know what comes next, Sabrina, the 5th gym leader. This is another double battle, and her leading 2 Pokemon are Indeedee and Hatterene. I once again double up on the Hatterene with Flash Cannon and Anchor Shot to take it out without it being able to set up a Trick Room. She then brings in Conkeldurr. And I always wondered, are these things just stuck to his hands? I've never seen Conkeldurr without them. Anyway, I decide to go for a King Shield, but my Anchor is going down here. So Ringman can come in and go for the Psychic on the Conkeldurr, which one-shots. I then get hit with a Shadow Ball and manage to hang on and hit a Brick Break on the Indeedee as well as she sends in Crawdaunt. I hit one more Dark Pulse on the Indeedee and manage to flinch it as well. And Arthur hits a Brick Break on Crawdaunt, but then the Crawdaunt takes out my Hoopa with Crunch. Bob then comes in and I take out the Indeedee with Acrobatics and the Crawdaunt with Brick Break. Her last 2 Pokemon are Porygon 2 and Mega Gardevoir. Then I double up on the Mega Gardevoir with Flash Cannon and Phantom Force, which is able to take it out of course. But the Porygon 2 was able to set up a Trick Room, but this is the last Pokemon left, so we should be fine. An Acrobatics and a Brick Break does just under half. And then I hit one more Brick Break, but the Ice Beam is taking out my Dragapult here. Then I go for a Brick Break Sucker Punch combo to take out Porygon and finally get my 5th gym badge. I then also capture a Type Null because once I evolve it into a Silvally, I'm going to be able to change its typing into Ghost type. So this is going to add another Ghost type to the team, even though it's not Ghost type yet. I then also capture a Gourgeist, which is a very good defensive type Pokemon as well, so I'm not going to complain with this one, even though it's a literal pumpkin. But before we take on Koga, the big ninja man, we have to take on Brendan again with his exploding Metagross. Hopefully he doesn't do that today. He wouldn't even be able to because it's a normal type move. So his leading Pokemon is going to be Metagross and mine is going to be Hoopa. I set up the Trick Room and he sets up some Stealth Rocks. I then go for a Shadow Ball, but he manages to outspeed because of the Trick Room and hit me with a Meteor Mash, but the Shadow Ball takes it down. His Crawdaunt then comes in and goes for the Aqua Jet, taking me down. So Titanic has to come in and a Power Whip is able to one-shot it from full health. Medicham went down to a Spirit Lock. Exploud once again to a Power Whip as I get hit with a Flamethrower as well, and the last Pokemon is Sceptile, Mega Sceptile. It takes me out with a Bullet Seed, I go into Arthur and a Flash Cannon and 2 Shadow Sneaks later, and the Sceptile goes down. One more Pokemon left, Gardevoir. So I get taken out by a Moonblast, Bob can come in and go for the Phantom Force to take out Gardevoir and beat Brendan to death. And now it's finally time to take on Koga, the Ninja Man. I still don't really understand why Ninja is being linked to poison typing, but let's start off with this Quillfish against my Dhelmise. and a power whip and a rapid spin immediately takes care of the big puffer. I tried to attack the Drapion too, but it killed me with a wicked blow. I then switch in banette to go for some protects and stall out this Drapion's wicked blows, because otherwise it's just going to be able to sweep my entire team. I'm able to get 3 off and hitting a shadow sneak before going down. I then go into Hoopa to set up the trick room as he switches into dragapult, and I hit a psychic before going down. So I go into Power Jack to try and hit a Shadow Ball, but he switches into Greninja, which takes it very well as I hit one more Scorching Sands before going down as well. He turns into Ash Greninja, and Arthur takes it out with a Shadow Sneak. He then switches in a Selgor as I keep going for Flash Cannons, but he keeps going for U-turns and switching in his Drapion again, so eventually I take that thing down. Then Dragapult comes in, so I go for a Shadow Sneak, and that thing goes down as well. Arthur is really putting in the work here. A Selgor is once again going to come into U-turn into Toxtricity, so I go for a Flash Cannon, but this barely does anything. I hit 2 more Shadow Sneaks before going down to some overdrives from this big Gigantamax, Mega Toxtricity, whatever you want to call it. But then Bob can finish off the last 2 Pokemon with Acrobatics, no more problems. That gives us our 6th gym badge though. After this I went to the Seafoam Islands and captured a Decidueye, which I probably won't use, and I also managed to find a Duskull, so if I evolve this into Dusclops, give it the Eviolite, it's going to be one hell of a bulky boy. And I decided to name it after an electronics company for some reason. I totally forgot why. But I guess he's now a vacuum cleaner? Anyway, so that's exactly what I do. I evolve it, then I evolve my type Null into a Silvally. Go to the guy on Cinnabar Island, which is able to change your Silvally's typing and change it to Ghost so that we can use it. And since we are on Cinnabar Island, the big bald man bling. But before we do that, we take on this girl called May or something. I mean, her team really wasn't that bad for me to take down. So it's just like a mosquito that you just have to like smack. So let's just skip that and move on over to Blaine immediately, the big bald boy. Also, I have a Pokemon theory. Why is Blaine bald? Is it because his fire types burned off his hair? But that's just a theory. Blaine's first Pokemon is going to be a Torkoal. So I'm going to be leading off with my Banette, and I also got the Mega Stone for Banette before this battle. So I Mega Evolve and set up the Rain Dance. I then go for Poltergeist twice to take out the Torkoal while it was able to hit me with a Lava Plume and set up some Stealth Rocks. Cinderace then came out, I was able to hit one Sucker Punch before going down to a Zen Headbutt. So I go into Silvally and hit a multi-attack to take it down since it is now Psychic typing. Typhlosion then came out and I made the stupid mistake by switching into Hoopa, which wasn't even able to tank eruptions, but I thought that it was going to be able to tank some because it has high special defense, but I guess I have to sack it here. So I go into Pyro Jack to hit one Shadow Ball, but I still get taken out by 2 eruptions. This Typhlosion is a very hard thing to take down if you don't have Rain Up anymore. So I switch in Bob, set up a Dragon Dance and kill the Typhlosion with Acrobatics, then some Flora comes out and of course this thing is not going to survive an Acrobatics either. Mega Charizard Y is not taking a Phantom Force. And last up is Venusaur, which we take down with 2 Acrobatics as well, and that gives us our 7th gym badge. Dragapult really put in the work on this one. Now before we take on the final gym, we have to go to Cerulean Cave to get rid of all of the Mafia in there. And in the last video I did not include this battle because I didn't have any problems whatsoever, but this time in this gauntlet battle against these 2 admins, I got stuck for about 2 hours straight. I don't know why, but my team just was not able to take them down. I even switched up the team a couple of times, but even then it really wasn't easy for some reason. They have a lot of dark types, like a Mega Houndoom, which is able to outspeed most of my team members and then kill with Dark Pulse. But just like always, we eventually got enough luck and RNG to take them down. But I just wanted to mention that this fight really was a pain in the ass for me. So let's move on over to Giovanni and the Mewtwo battle with Lance. And in this battle I decided to take Bob, Kevin and Pyro Jack with me. At the start of the battle they go with Scrafty and Tapu Lele. And we start off with 2 Dragapults. So I just go for the Phantom Force on the Tapu Lele to one-shot. But Lance's Dragapult easily goes down by a knockoff from the Scrafty. We send out our Dialga and they send out their Tyranitar. So I go into Pyro Jack to hit an energy ball on the Tyranitar, but it barely does any damage. Eventually I do go down, so I have to go into my dragapult, then set up a dragon dance, go for a dragon darts and take out Scrafty and do some decent damage on Tyranitar as well. Excadrill then comes in, so I go for some more dragon darts to do a little bit of damage on Excadrill and take out the Tyranitar. Then Celesteela comes in, and Lance sends in his Mega Salamence. I go for a Phantom Force on the Excadrill to take it down. His Mewtwo then comes in and Mega evolves into Mega Mewtwo Y. And the Salamence takes out the Celesteela with a Double Edge. And I can finish off the Mewtwo with Phantom Force. And just like that, without even losing any Pokemon on my part, we defeated Giovanni. With that, we now move on to the final gym battle with Claire, which has been swapped out for Giovanni. She still has a Dragon-type team, but doesn't start off with a Dragon-type though. She starts off with a Fossil Aerodactyl. So my best Pokemon to lead off with here is Arthur, Flash Cannon, Shadow Sneak combo, and that thing is already out of here. Next on that is Dracovish, so I decide to go into my own Dragapult to take the Fish's Rend, but it did way too much damage, but luckily he switched out into the Magearna while I went into Hoopa. I was able to set up a Trick Room and a Nasty Plot and then take it out with 2 Shadow Balls because the Floor Cannons lowered its special attack, which meant that it wasn't doing as much damage. After this she went into Naganadel, which I took out with Psyche. Because of the Trick Room I was still faster, but then Dracovish came out and my Trick Room ran out, so I go down to Fish's Rend. So I go into Bob and a Dragon Darts is going to take it out from this range, which is full health. Then he sent out his Duraludon, so I went ahead and set up a Light Screen because this thing always goes for Draco Meteor as my Dragapult gets absolutely annihilated. But that means I can bring in Pyro Jack and 2 Scorching Sands is going to take out this big metal building, I guess. Her Dragonite was up next. With the multi-scale ability, my Shadow Ball barely does anything even though it was a critical hit, but I managed to lower its special defense before going down to a Dragon Dance Dual Wing Beat. But luckily Arthur could just come in and finish this thing off with Flash Cannon, which meant that we now have our final gym badge, and let's move on to the final 2 rival battles before the Elite Four. Let's jump right into it with Carl. Staraptor versus Rotom. And I knew that it was going to go for U-turn here, so I went for Ominous Wind as the Kartana came in and I did a lot of damage on it. But after that it did manage to take me out with a Leaf Blade though, so Kevin had to come in and go for the Sucker Punch while I Mega Evolved to take this thing down. Staraptor then came out, so I switched back into Arthur. I hit a Flash Cannon, but then eventually he switched into Azumarill, which is going to annihilate my Sword and Shield with a Liquidation. So Silvally has to sweep up this Azumarill with multi-attacks as he then goes into Staraptor again, but I go down to a Brave Bird since it's outspeeding me. I then swap in Kevin and try to go for the Sucker Punch, but he switches into his Electivire. And after going for a Will-O-Wisp to burn it and then going for a Shadow Claw, it's already down, but it was able to hit 2 Plasma Fists, leaving me with only 2 HP. Staraptor then went down to Sucker Punch and Darmanitan was after that. After hitting 1 more Sucker Punch, I went down to a Flare Blitz, but then Bob could come in and a Dragon Darts was able to finish this thing off from this range, and his last Pokemon was Mega Venusaur. So I just set up a Light Screen and kept on going for Dragon Darts, but it put me to sleep a couple of times and also Giga Drained me way too much until my Dragapult eventually fainted. But Hoopa could come in, I avoided the Sleep Powder, and a Psychic finishes off this battle. You know what time it is now? Brendan time. The last battle before the Elite Four. Let's see if we're ready. He starts off with a Deoxys attack form, but my Sword and Shield Shadow Sneaks it until it's dead. The next Pokemon is Landorus, so I'm predicting a ground type move here, then switch into Rotom with the Levitate. And luckily my Rotom is even strong enough to take down this Landorus with 3 Ominous Winds since I did get some boosts on my second one. Next up is Mega Sceptile, and even with the boosts I'm still not faster than this thing, so my Thunder Wave is not going to go off and my Bullet Seed is taking me down. So I decided to go into Banette and set up the Trick Room and then go for a Shadow Claw on the Sceptile. It did a very major amount of damage, but not quite enough to take it down, so a Bullet Seed here takes down Kevin. So Hoopa can now come in, and because of the Trick Room I outspeed and take out Sceptile with Shadow Ball. Then Huntail is the next Pokemon, and it's apparently slower than my Hoopa and destroys me with a Crunch. So I go into Dragapult, I manage to survive a Crunch and go for Dragon Darts. Then the Trick Room runs out and another one takes out the Huntail. For Zapdos, I was able to hit one more Dragon Darts before going down to a Brave Bird, but Arthur can come in and sweep it up with Shadow Sneak, and the last Pokemon is Jirachi. Arthur hits 2 more Shadow Sneaks, combining it with some King Shields to get some HP recovery from the leftovers, but the Jirachi does come out on top in the end, and then Silvally can swoop it up with a multi-attack, defeating Brendan and moving on over to the Elite Four. And this is the team that I'm going to be using for the Elite Four and Champion, since I didn't find any more Ghost types in Victory Road. So I'm going in with Bob as my physical attacker, Gourgeist as my physically defensive tank, Arthur just as a specially defensive tank as well as a mixed attacker. Kevin is going to be able to set up some nice Will-O-Wisps and stuff with the Prankster ability. Then Hoopa is my special attacker and also special defensive tank. And last up, Silvally is kind of a bit of everything, but mostly a physical attacker too. With these Pokemon, we're going to be facing Lorelei's water type team because it's just easier to take down than the ice type team in my opinion. So I'm going to lead off with Silvally and Gourgeist against their Poliwrath and Politoed. They set up the Drizzle, of course, and I'm going to go for a Giga Drain and Psychic Fangs combo on the Poliwrath in order to take it out, and my Silvally managed to hang on from a Scald and an attack from the Poliwrath as well. Kingdra is the next Pokemon on the list as they take out my Silvally with Muddy Water and hit my Gourgeist with a Scald. I decided to go into Hoopa because most of their moves are going to be special here, as I set up a Trick Room and get hit with a Scald Muddy Water combo again, but I'm also able to hit the Politoed with a Giga Drain. But my Gourgeist got burned as well. A burned pumpkin. That's kinda ironic. So then I set up a nasty plot with Hoopa and take out the Politoed with Giga Drain and get hit with a Muddy Water once again. As she's sending Dracovish, which is going down with a Shadow Ball, and I also hit a Giga Drain on the Kingdra, but it barely does anything. Mega Swampert, one of the biggest threats, then comes out, but I decide to double up on it with Shadow Ball and Giga Drain, which is able to take it down. But then Primal Kyogre, her best Pokemon, comes out, and I survive a Muddy Water with both of my Pokemon with only a little bit of HP remaining. And my Shadow Ball Giga Drain combo doesn't quite take out the Kyogre, as you can barely see its HP bar. Now Hoopa gets taken out by a Muddy Water, but Gourgeist manages to survive again. So I just bring in Bob and the Dragon Darts are going to hit both of her Pokemon, which means that we won the first Elite Four member battle. Let's move on over to Bruno. And Bruno was actually one of the hardest battles in this entire Elite Four. I had to reset the most on him, which is pretty weird because Bruno is most of the time the easiest. Anyway, he starts off with an Urshifu, but he immediately U-turns into Zacian, which is very broken in this game. Zacian is probably broken in every game, so my multi-attack is going to come through. Then I go into Arthur to take a Behemoth Bash and hit a Shadow Sneak before going down to a Crunch. Then I switch in Gourgeist and a Flamethrower is taking out this Zacian. This was one of the biggest threats on his team, by the way. Now next up is Conkeldurr, so I try to go for the Giga Drain, but it barely does any damage, so I go for the Explosion after that to take myself out and do okay damage on the Conkeldurr, but just not enough to take it even below half health. But Silvally can come in and sweep it up with a critical hit Psychic Fangs. Scizor gets taken out by 2 multi-attacks, but it was able to hit 2 bullet punches, doing a very major amount of damage because it has the Technician ability. Urshifu is going to take me out with Aqua Jet, so I go into Bob, set up 2 Dragon Dances, and then 2 Dragon Darts are going to take out Terrakion because he switched into him with a U-turn from Urshifu. His Mega Lucario went down to a Phantom Force, and then Urshifu, last but not least, hits me with an Aqua Jet but doesn't kill me, and a Dragon Dart defeats Bruno. So let's move on to Professor Oak's lady, Agatha. She has a Grimmsnarl as her starting Pokemon, so I lead off with my Aegislash, and a Flash Cannon Shadow Sneak combo is taking this thing out easily. That was a lie, I actually needed 2 Shadow Sneaks. For Spectrier, I decided to stay in and hit one more Shadow Sneak, but a Shadow Ball is taking me out. So then I swap in Kevin and go for the Shadow Claw to take down Spectrier. His Hydreigon comes out and I needed to sack someone here, so I went into Silvally, which is going to get destroyed by a Dark Pulse. But then I can safely go into Bob and a Dragon Darts is taking this thing out from full health. Her own Dragapult is now coming out, but it manages to outspeed me and kill me with his own Dragon Darts. And so I go into Gourgeist, hit 2 Shadow Balls, and get hit by a Dragon Danced Phantom Force, but I managed to survive and take out Dragapult. Marshadow can now come in and sweep me up with Shadow Sneak, so I can swap in Kevin, go for the Shadow Claw Sucker Punch combo to take out Marshadow. And last up, Mega Gengar is going down to a Shadow Claw as well. This lets us move on to the final Elite Four member, Lance the Dragon Master. Lance starts off with a Garchomp, and I lead off with my Aegislash for some reason. So I go for a Flash Cannon Shadow Sneak combo to do decent damage, but a Earthquake is taking me down. So I try to go into Bob and take it out with Dragon Dart, but he switches in Melmetal. So I try to run away, but after that didn't work, I went into Gourgeist and hit a Flamethrower, and then went down to 2 double Iron Bashes. But Silvally could come in and hit a multi-attack, but then he switches into his Primal Dialga, which I'm able to hit a couple of times with multi-attacks as well. But then I go down, I have to go into Hoopa, hit a Shadow Ball, but then get roared of timed out of here, go into Banette, and then Sucker Punch the Dialga to death. Next up is Dracozolt, and I'm able to go for a Will-O-Wisp to burn it, but then I get taken out by 2 Bold Beaks. But Bob can come in and go for a Dragon Dance as I get hit with a critical hit Bold Beak, but then 2 Dragon Darts are taking this thing down. Melmetal goes down to Phantom Force. Garchomp to Dragon Darts, Dragonite to Dragon Darts, and last but not least, Salamence once again a Dragon Darts, and we win. So let's move on over to the champion battle with Carl. Carl's leading Pokemon is a Pheromosa, which is a bug. Now what's the best thing to take on bugs? Of course, a Silvally. I go for a Rock Slide and hit his next Pokemon Yveltal since he U-turned out. Another Rock Slide manages to flinch, and the third one takes it down. That is one of his legendaries out of the way already. And his next Pokemon is Primal Groudon, and I'm able to hit 3 multi-attacks because he missed the Precipice Blade and went for a Thunder Wave on turn 1, but even that wasn't enough to take down the big beast. So Bob has to sweep up this Groudon with Dragon Darts. Galarian Darmanitan is next. So I swap in Arthur and try to go for the Flash Cannon, but he switches into Eternatus. So I go into Ringman and set up a Trick Room and then a Nasty Plot while I manage to hang on from a Flamethrower and 2 Dynamax Cannons. Then I go for a Hyperspace Black Hole to take down this big fat snake or whatever it is. Pheromosa also goes down to 2 Hyperspace Holes because it decided to use Close Combat on a Ghost type for some reason. I then try to take down his Mega Metagross, but sadly enough a Bullet Punch connects and kills me. But luckily I have a Gourgeist which is able to hit 2 Shadow Balls and finish him off. Last up is Galarian Darmanitan again. So I go into Arthur after it kills my Gourgeist with U-turn, and a Close Combat is able to finish this battle, which means that we have defeated Pokemon Radical Red with only Ghost types. Compared to the Water types that I did before, this was definitely way harder, because with the Water types I could just set up Rain and then my Swampert would just go boom on everything. With this I didn't really have that. I mean, Dragapult was probably the MVP, but almost everyone on the team did put in a lot amount of work. But which Pokemon was the MVP in your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below, as well as which typing I should do next, or maybe just a team from someone that I should try to beat Radical Red with. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always I want to thank my membership and Patreon supporters for supporting the channel. You can do so yourself by clicking the links in the description. It is always appreciated. And with that out of the way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm zwiggojr, and I'll see you guys next time.